Imagine digging through an old jar of dirty, forgotten coins and suddenly spotting a wheat penny that could be worth thousands, or even more. These small, brown pennies may look ordinary, worn, and decades old, but some of them are among the most rare and valuable coins ever discovered. Hidden among common change are legendary treasures like the 1909 SVDB Lincoln Wheat Penny, the mysterious 1943 bronze Lincoln Wheat Penny, and the ultra-rare 1955 double-die Lincoln Penny. Collectors across the US and UK. What if I told you that a single old, dirty penny hiding in a jar, drawer, or forgotten coin box could secretly be worth big money, thousands of dollars, or even life-changing value? Most people would never believe it. But coin collectors across the United States and the United Kingdom are hunting for one specific coin right now, a mysterious little treasure known as the 1950 wheat penny. And if you happen to have one, you might be holding hidden treasure without even realizing it. Let me tell you something shocking. Millions of pennies were made in 1950, but the ones minted in Denver carry a tiny letter D beneath the date. That small mint mark changed everything. Some of these coins were struck with unusual characteristics, rare conditions, and mint errors that collectors will pay huge money to own. But here's the strange part. Most of these valuable coins look old, brown, and dirty. Many collectors say the most valuable discoveries often come from coins that look completely ordinary. Now imagine this. A man sorting through a jar of pennies inherited from his grandfather discovered a 1950 penny with a tiny D mint mark under the date. At first it looked like just another old coin. But when he sent it to be graded, the result shocked him. The coin sold at auction for over $10,000 because of its near-perfect condition. A coin worth 1 cent turned into big money almost overnight. And here's the part that gets even more interesting. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series is one of the most collected coins in the world. Designed by the famous sculptor Victor David Brenner, these pennies feature Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the back. Millions were used in everyday transactions for decades. That means rare treasures are still hiding in circulation, coin jars, and old collections. But the 1950 D wheat penny has a reputation among collectors because of several rare features that can turn a simple coin into hidden treasure. First, check the date and mint mark. Look closely at the front of the coin. You must see 1950 with a small D underneath. That letter means the coin was minted in Denver. Second, examine the color. Wheat pennies come in 3 main color types: brown, red-brown, and bright red. The rarest and most valuable examples are bright red coins that still look almost new. Some of those coins have sold for thousands of dollars because collectors love their original mint color. But don't ignore the darker coins. Even brown examples can bring big money if they contain the right error. Now here's where things get exciting. One of the most talked about varieties is the repunched mint mark error. This happens when the Denver mint mark was punched into the coin more than once at slightly different angles. Under magnification, you might see a shadow or doubling around the D. Collectors search for these errors constantly. Depending on the condition, a 1950 D repunched mint mark penny can sell anywhere from $100 to over $1,000. But that's not the only hidden treasure. Another rare feature to look for is a die crack or cud error along the rim. These appear as raised lines or bumps caused by cracks in the minting die. While some collectors overlook them, certain dramatic examples have sold for hundreds of dollars because each one is unique. And then there's the condition factor. A normal circulated 1950 D wheat penny might only be worth a few cents. But when collectors find one in uncirculated condition, with sharp details on Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks, the value jumps dramatically. In fact, some certified high-grade coins have sold for thousands of dollars at major auctions. One auction record shocked the collecting world when a pristine 1950 D wheat penny graded MS 67 sold for more than $10,000. That's the kind of life-changing value that keeps collectors searching through piles of old coins. Now imagine this scenario. You're sorting through a jar of old change. Most coins are ordinary, but suddenly you spot a wheat penny. The back shows those iconic wheat stalks. Your curiosity kicks in. You flip it over. And there it is. 1950, with a tiny D mint mark. At that moment, you might be holding hidden treasure. But before you celebrate, you need to check a few more details. Look carefully at the rim of the coin. Rare examples have strong, well-defined rims and sharp edges. Weak rims often mean heavy circulation, which lowers the value. Next, inspect Lincoln's portrait. High-value coins show clear hairlines, sharp cheek details, and strong lettering. If the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" are crisp and bold, that's a good sign. Then check the reverse side. The wheat stalks should have clear grain lines. Weak or worn wheat lines usually indicate lower grades. But sometimes, even worn coins can surprise you. Some collectors have discovered unusual die rotation errors, where the back of the coin is slightly misaligned. These rare minting mistakes can add serious collector value. And here's a shocking fact many people don't realize. Thousands of valuable wheat pennies have been discovered in everyday coin rolls from banks. Collectors call this coin roll hunting, and it has revealed countless hidden treasures over the years. That means the next life-changing coin could literally be sitting in someone's pocket right now. Think about that for a moment. A penny worth 1 cent, turning into hundreds, thousands, or even big money just because someone took the time to look closely. That's why collectors never ignore old pennies. Every wheat penny is a small piece of history, and sometimes a hidden jackpot. So tonight, before you throw your spare change into a jar or spend that old penny at the store, take a second look. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the color, the rim, and the wheat stalks. Because somewhere out there, a 1950 wheat penny with incredible condition or a rare mint error is waiting to be discovered. And the person who finds it could unlock a piece of hidden treasure worth big money. But here's the question that keeps collectors awake at night. How many of these rare coins are still out there, hiding in jars, drawers, and forgotten collections, just waiting for someone like you to notice them? Before you leave, check your pennies carefully, because the next coin you find could hold life-changing value. And if you love discovering hidden treasures like this, make sure you subscribe, because the next rare coin we uncover might be worth even more than this one. What if I told you that a single old, dirty penny hiding in your pocket change could secretly be worth big money, thousands of dollars, or even life-changing value? Most people spend pennies without a second thought. But coin collectors across the United States and the United Kingdom are quietly searching for one specific coin, the mysterious 1951 Lincoln wheat penny. And if you happen to find the right one, that tiny piece of copper could turn into hidden treasure overnight. Here's the shocking part. In 1951, millions of pennies were produced at the Denver Mint. At first glance, they look completely ordinary. Old, brown, worn down from decades of circulation. But within those millions of coins are a handful of rare varieties, mint errors, and pristine examples that collectors are willing to pay serious big money for. And the story behind this coin is fascinating. The penny belongs to the legendary Lincoln wheat penny series, one of the most iconic coins ever made. The design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front. When it first appeared in 1909, it was revolutionary. The first U.S. coin to show a real historical figure instead of a symbolic image. By 1951, these pennies had already been part of American life for over 4 decades. They passed through millions of hands, grocery stores, gas stations, lunch counters, and bank rolls. Most were spent and forgotten. But a few somehow escaped heavy circulation and survived in remarkable condition. And those rare survivors are where the life-changing value begins. Imagine a collector opening a small envelope of old coins inherited from a family member. Among the worn copper pieces sits a simple wheat penny dated 1951, with a tiny D mint mark below the year. At first it looks ordinary, but after professional grading, the coin receives an extremely high mint state grade. When it finally goes to auction, collectors begin bidding aggressively. The final hammer price? Over $9,000 for a single penny that once had a face value of 1 cent. That's the power of hidden treasure in the coin collecting world. Now here's where things get even more exciting. If you want to know whether your penny could be worth big money, you need to know exactly what to look for. First, check the date and mint mark. The coin must say 1951, and just below the date you should see a small letter D. That mark means the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. No mint mark means it was made in Philadelphia. And while those can still be collectible, the Denver version is the one many collectors search for. Next, examine the color of the coin. Wheat pennies are classified into three main color categories: brown, red-brown, and bright red. Most old pennies you'll find are brown because the copper oxidized over time. But if you discover a 1951 D penny with bright red original mint color, collectors get extremely excited. A red uncirculated example can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the grade. That's a massive jump from 1 cent. But here's a detail many people miss, and it could mean the difference between pocket change and life-changing value. Look very closely at the mint mark itself. Some 1951 D pennies have what collectors call a repunched mint mark, also known as an RPM. This happened when the mint worker punched the D into the die more than once at slightly different positions. Under magnification, you may see a second faint outline or shadow around the letter. That tiny detail might not seem important, but collectors absolutely love these errors. Depending on the strength of the repunching and the condition of the coin, these RPM varieties can sell $4, $100, $500, or even over $1,000. But the surprises don't stop there. Another shocking feature to watch for is die cracks. These appear as raised lines running across the coin's surface, often near the rim or through the lettering. They were caused when the steel dies used to strike the coins began to crack during production. Most people think these cracks make the coin defective, but collectors often see them as unique fingerprints from the minting process. Some dramatic die crack examples have sold for several $100s. Now let's talk about something that could turn an ordinary penny into big money instantly: the coin's condition. When collectors evaluate a coin, they look closely at Lincoln's hair details, the cheekbone, the lettering, and the wheat stalks on the reverse. If those details are sharp and unworn, the coin may be in mint state condition. High-grade 1951 D wheat pennies are surprisingly rare because most were heavily used in everyday transactions. That's why when one appears in exceptional condition, collectors compete fiercely to own it. In fact, some certified examples graded MS 66 or higher have reached thousands of dollars at auction. Now imagine this moment. You're searching through a jar of old coins late at night. Your fingers brush across dozens of ordinary pennies. Suddenly you flip one over and see those familiar wheat stalks on the back. Your curiosity sparks. You turn it over again and read the date: 1951. Then your eyes move just slightly lower, and you notice the tiny D mint mark. At that moment, you might be holding a coin that collectors across the world are searching for. But before you get too excited, there are a few more clues to check. Look carefully at the rim of the coin. A strong, sharp rim usually indicates the coin hasn't been worn down too much. Weak or flattened rims usually mean heavy circulation. Next, inspect the lettering. Words like Liberty and In God We Trust should appear crisp and clear on higher-grade examples. Then flip the coin to the back and check the wheat stalks. The lines inside the wheat grains should still be visible if the coin hasn't been heavily worn. And here's a shocking truth that many collectors know. Some of the most valuable wheat pennies ever discovered were found in ordinary bank coin rolls. People searching through pennies from the bank have uncovered coins worth hundreds and even thousands of dollars. That means hidden treasure is still out there. Right now, somewhere in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten coin collection, a rare 1951 D wheat penny could be waiting to be discovered. A coin that looks old, dirty, and completely ordinary, but secretly holds big money value. And the next person to find it could unlock a tiny copper treasure worth far more than anyone expects. So before you spend another penny, take a closer look. Check the date. Look for that small D mint mark. Examine the color, the rim, and the wheat stalks. Because the difference between an ordinary penny and life-changing value might come down to just a few tiny details. And here's the mystery that keeps coin collectors searching every single day. How many rare 1951 D wheat pennies are still hiding in circulation, waiting for someone like you to notice them? Check your coins carefully tonight, because the next penny you find could reveal hidden treasure. And if you enjoy discovering coins worth big money, make sure you subscribe, because the next coin we uncover might be worth even more than this one. What if the next old, dirty penny you find in your pocket could secretly be worth thousands of dollars, maybe even life-changing value? It sounds impossible, but coin collectors across the United States and the United Kingdom are actively searching for one specific coin right now. the mysterious 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny. And the shocking truth is that many people have spent these coins without realizing they were holding hidden treasure. Think about that for a moment. A coin worth just 1 cent, suddenly turning into big money. Now here's where the story gets fascinating. The penny we're talking about belongs to the legendary Lincoln wheat penny series. These coins were first introduced in 1909 and designed by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner. On the front, you see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that completely changed American coinage history. But by 1952, these pennies had already been circulating for more than 40 years. They were used in grocery stores, gas stations, lunch counters, and vending machines across America. Most were spent, worn down, and forgotten. Yet hidden among the millions produced in Denver were a few rare survivors, coins with extraordinary condition or strange minting mistakes that collectors now consider hidden treasure. And here's the shocking part. Some collectors have paid thousands of dollars for the right 1952 D wheat penny. That means a coin that once bought a piece of candy could now bring big money at auction. One graded high-quality example sold for over $6,000, simply because it survived in exceptional mint condition. And discoveries like that are exactly why collectors search through jars of old pennies every single day. Now, if you want to know whether your penny might have life-changing value, there are a few critical details you need to check. Start with the date. Your coin must say 1952 on the front. Just below the date, look carefully for a small letter D. That tiny mark means the coin was minted in Denver. Without that mint mark, it's a Philadelphia coin, which usually carries less value. But here's something most people never notice. Even a dirty brown penny can be extremely valuable if it has the right color classification. Wheat pennies are graded as brown, red-brown, or bright red. Most coins you find today are brown because copper naturally darkens over time. But if you discover a 1952 D penny that still shows original bright red color, collectors get extremely excited. These coins look almost like they just left the mint. And those rare red examples can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition. But that's only the beginning. Here's where things start to get truly exciting. Some 1952 D pennies were struck with a fascinating mint error known as a repunched mint mark, often called an RPM. During production, mint workers sometimes punched the mint mark into the die more than once, slightly misaligned. Under magnification, you might see a faint second outline or shadow around the D mint mark. That tiny detail could turn an ordinary penny into big money. Collectors have paid anywhere from $100 to more than $500 for strong repunched mint mark examples. But wait, there's another surprise hidden in some of these coins. During the minting process, steel dies sometimes began to crack after striking thousands of coins. When this happened, small raised lines appeared on the coin's surface. These are known as die crack errors. Most people would ignore them, thinking the coin is damaged. But collectors see them as unique minting signatures. Some dramatic die crack varieties from the 1952 D penny have sold for several $100s, especially when the cracks run through the lettering or across Lincoln's portrait. Now let's talk about something that can multiply the value instantly. Condition. If your coin shows strong detail in Lincoln's hair, a clear jawline, and sharp lettering in God We Trust and Liberty, you might be looking at a coin in uncirculated condition. Flip it over and inspect the wheat stalks on the reverse. The lines within the grains should still be visible and crisp. When collectors find a 1952 D wheat penny with those strong details and minimal wear, the value can jump dramatically. That's exactly what happened when one pristine coin graded MS 66 sold at auction for thousands of dollars. A simple copper penny suddenly became life-changing value for the person who owned it. But here's the moment every coin hunter dreams about. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table late at night, sorting through a jar of old change. Most coins are ordinary, just pennies you've ignored for years. Then suddenly you see the familiar wheat stalks on the back of a coin. Your curiosity kicks in. You flip it over slowly. And there it is. 1952. Then just below the date, you spot the tiny D mint mark. Your heart starts racing, because you know that coin collectors everywhere are searching for that exact penny. But before you celebrate, there are a few more clues to examine. Look closely at the rim. A strong, well-defined rim usually indicates the coin hasn't been heavily worn. Weak or flattened rims suggest heavy circulation. Next, inspect the lettering. Crisp, bold letters are a good sign of higher-grade coins. Finally, check the wheat stalks on the reverse. Sharp grain lines often indicate the coin has survived in excellent condition. And here's a shocking truth many collectors know. Some of the most valuable wheat pennies in history were discovered in ordinary bank coin rolls. People searching through rolls of pennies from their local bank have uncovered coins worth hundreds and even thousands of dollars. That means hidden treasure is still out there right now. Somewhere in a dusty coin jar, a forgotten drawer, or an old family collection, a rare 1952 wheat penny could be waiting to be discovered. A coin that looks old, worn, and completely ordinary, yet secretly holds big money value. And the next person to find it might unlock a tiny copper treasure worth far more than anyone expects. So before you spend another penny, take a moment to check your coins carefully. Look for the 1952 date. Watch for the small D mint mark. Examine the color, the rim, and any unusual mint errors. Because the difference between pocket change and life-changing value might be hiding in the smallest detail. And here's the question that keeps collectors searching every day. How many rare 1952 wheat pennies are still out there, quietly waiting for someone like you to notice them? Check your change tonight, because the next penny you find could reveal hidden treasure worth big money. And if you love discovering coins with incredible value, make sure you subscribe, because the next rare coin we uncover might be worth even more than this one. What if the next old, dirty penny you find in your pocket change could secretly be worth thousands of dollars? Maybe even life-changing value. Most people ignore pennies. They toss them in jars, leave them in cars, or drop them in a drawer without a second thought. But coin collectors across the United States and the United Kingdom are searching for one small copper coin that could turn ordinary change into big money. The mysterious 1953 Lincoln wheat penny. And here's the shocking truth. Some of these coins have already sold for thousands of dollars, even though they once had a face value of just 1 cent. That means the penny sitting quietly in your coin jar right now could actually be hidden treasure. To understand why, we have to go back to the early 1950s. America was booming after World War II. Factories were producing goods at record speed, and the U.S. Mint was working around the clock to keep up with the demand for coins. In Denver, millions of pennies were being struck every day as part of the famous Lincoln Wheat Penny series. This design had already become legendary. Created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, it featured the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the back. For decades, these coins passed through grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines across America. But during the production of some 1953 pennies in Denver, something unusual happened. Tiny minting mistakes, subtle variations, and a few incredibly well-preserved coins slipped quietly into circulation. At the time, no one noticed. People spent them like any other penny. But decades later, collectors realized something shocking. Some of these humble coins had become big money collectibles. In fact, a high-grade example of a 1953 wheat penny has sold for over $7,000 at auction. That's right, a coin once worth 1 cent turning into life-changing value. And that's exactly why collectors search through piles of old pennies every single day. So how do you know if the penny you're holding might be one of these valuable treasures? Start with the date. The coin must clearly read 1953. Next, look just below the date. You should see a small D mint mark, which tells you the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. That tiny letter is critical because it identifies the exact mint where the coin was produced. But here's where things get even more interesting. The color of your penny can make a huge difference in value. Wheat pennies are categorized into 3 color groups: brown, red-brown, and bright red. Most of the old pennies you'll find today are brown because copper darkens over time. But if you discover a 1953 penny with original bright red color, collectors get extremely excited. These red coins look almost brand new, as if they just left the mint yesterday. And because so few survived in that condition, collectors are willing to pay big money for them. Some bright red examples in top condition have sold for thousands of dollars. But here's where the real excitement begins. Some 1953 pennies were struck with a fascinating error known as a repunched mint mark, or RPM. During production in the 1950s, mint marks were punched into the die by hand. Sometimes the worker punched the letter twice by mistake, slightly misaligned. When that happened, the D mint mark appears doubled or shadowed when viewed under magnification. To the average person, it might look like a tiny flaw. But to coin collectors, that small detail can transform an ordinary penny into hidden treasure. Depending on the strength of the repunching and the condition of the coin, these RPM varieties can sell for $100, $300, or even more than $1,000. But wait, there's another surprising feature to watch for. During the intense production at the Denver Mint, the steel dies used to strike coins sometimes developed cracks. When those cracked dies struck pennies, they left raised lines across the surface of the coin. These are called die crack errors. Some run across Lincoln's portrait. Others stretch through the lettering or along the rim. Every die crack pattern is unique, and collectors love dramatic examples. Some strong die crack varieties on the 1953 D penny have sold for several $100s, simply because of that unusual minting signature. Now here's something even more shocking. The most valuable factor of all isn't just the error, it's the condition of the coin. Look closely at Lincoln's portrait. If the hair details are sharp and the cheekbone is clearly defined, that's a good sign. Check the lettering, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." On higher grade coins, the letters should appear crisp and bold. Then flip the coin over and examine the wheat stalks. The grain lines inside the wheat should still be clearly visible. When a 1953 D penny survives with those sharp details and almost no wear, collectors compete fiercely to own it. That's when a tiny copper coin suddenly transforms into life-changing value. Now imagine this moment. You're sitting at home tonight, sorting through a jar of old coins. Most of them look ordinary. But then you notice the familiar wheat stalks on the back of one penny. You flip it over slowly. Your eyes lock onto the date, 1953. Then you see it, just below the date, a tiny D. Suddenly that coin doesn't look so ordinary anymore. Because you know collectors around the world are searching for that exact penny. But before you celebrate, check a few more details. Look at the rim of the coin. A strong, sharp rim usually means the coin hasn't been heavily worn. Examine the lettering for clarity. Inspect the mint mark closely for signs of repunching or doubling. And check the color, because a bright red example could mean big money. Here's another incredible fact that surprises many collectors. Some of the most valuable wheat pennies in the world were discovered in ordinary bank coin rolls. People searching through rolls of pennies have found coins worth hundreds and even thousands of dollars. That means hidden treasure is still out there. Right now, somewhere in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten collection, a rare 1953 D wheat penny could be waiting to be discovered. A coin that looks old and dirty. A coin that most people would ignore. But a coin that might secretly hold life-changing value. So tonight, before you spend another penny, take a closer look at your change. Check the date. Look for the D mint mark. Examine the color, the rim, and any unusual mint errors. Because the difference between pocket change and big money could be hiding in the smallest detail. And here's the question that keeps coin collectors searching every single day. How many rare 1953 D wheat pennies are still hiding in circulation, waiting for someone like you to discover them? Check your coins carefully tonight, because the next penny you pick up could reveal hidden treasure. And if you love discovering coins with life-changing value, make sure you subscribe, because the next coin we uncover might be worth even more than this one. What if I told you that an old, dirty penny sitting in your pocket right now could secretly be worth thousands of dollars, maybe even life-changing value? Most people ignore pennies. They drop them in jars, leave them in cup holders, or spend them without a second thought. But coin collectors across the United States and the United Kingdom are searching for one tiny coin that could turn ordinary change into big money. The mysterious 1957 D Lincoln wheat penny. And here's the shocking truth. Millions of these pennies were produced, but only a handful survive with the rare characteristics collectors are desperate to find. That means somewhere out there, mixed into everyday coins, a small copper piece could be hiding hidden treasure. To understand why this penny matters so much, we need to go back in time. The coin comes from the famous Lincoln wheat penny series, one of the most beloved coins ever created in American history. The design was crafted by sculptor Victor David Brenner, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front. For decades, these pennies traveled through the hands of millions of people, used for groceries, candy, bus fares, and vending machines. They were ordinary coins living ordinary lives. But something fascinating happened during the production of some 1957 pennies at the Denver Mint. Tiny minting errors, subtle variations, and a few incredibly well-preserved coins quietly entered circulation. At the time, nobody noticed. People spent them like any other penny. But decades later, collectors began discovering that some of these coins had become extremely rare. And that's when the big money started appearing. In fact, certain high-grade examples of the 1957 D-Wheat penny have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. That means a coin once worth a single cent could now represent life-changing value. And discoveries like that are exactly why coin hunters search through old pennies every day. So let's talk about how you can identify one of these hidden treasures. The first thing to check is the date. The coin must clearly show 1957. Next, look directly below the date. You should see a small letter D. That tiny mark indicates the coin was minted in Denver. Without it, the penny was produced in Philadelphia. Now here's something many people never realize. The color of the coin can dramatically change its value. Wheat pennies are categorized into 3 color types: brown, red-brown, and bright red. Most old pennies you'll find today are brown because copper darkens as it ages. But if you discover a 1957 D penny with bright original red color, collectors immediately pay attention. These coins appear almost brand new, with glowing copper surfaces. Because so few survived like that, collectors will often pay big money for them. Some high-grade red examples have sold for over $3,000 simply because of their stunning condition. But now here's where things get really exciting. Some 1957 D pennies were struck with fascinating minting mistakes that collectors absolutely love. One of the most famous varieties is the repunched mint mark, commonly called an RPM. During the 1950s, mint marks were punched into the coin dies by hand. Occasionally, the worker punched the mark twice, slightly misaligned. When that happened, the D-mint mark appears doubled or shadowed when viewed under magnification. To the average person, it might look like a tiny flaw. But to collectors, that small detail can transform a simple penny into hidden treasure. Depending on the strength of the repunching and the coin's condition, these RPM varieties can sell anywhere from $100 to over $1,000. But that's not the only surprise hidden in these coins. During heavy production at the Denver Mint, the metal dies used to strike pennies sometimes began to crack after thousands of strikes. When that happened, the coins came out with raised lines across the surface. These are called die crack errors. Some appear along the rim, while others stretch across Lincoln's portrait or through the lettering. Collectors love dramatic die cracks because each one is unique. Certain examples of the 1957 D penny with strong die cracks have sold for several $100s. And here's another shocking fact that many people miss completely. Sometimes pennies were struck slightly off-center during the minting process. These off-center strike errors create coins where part of the design is missing while the date remains visible. When a 1957 D penny has a noticeable off-center strike, collectors can pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how dramatic the error is. But perhaps the most important factor of all is the coin's condition. Take a close look at Lincoln's portrait. If the hair details are sharp and the cheekbone is clearly defined, that's a promising sign. Check the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." On valuable coins, those letters appear crisp and bold. Then flip the coin over and study the wheat stalks. The grain lines inside the wheat should still be visible. When a 1957 D penny survives in this kind of condition, collectors get extremely excited. Because that's when a tiny copper coin suddenly becomes life-changing value. Now imagine this moment. You're sitting at your kitchen table late at night, pouring a jar of coins onto the surface. Most of them look ordinary. But then you see the familiar wheat stalks on the back of a penny. You flip it over slowly. Your eyes lock onto the date, 1957. Then just below it you spot the tiny D mint mark. Suddenly that old, dirty penny doesn't seem so ordinary anymore. Because you know collectors everywhere are searching for that exact coin. But before celebrating, take a closer look. Check the rim for strong edges. Inspect the mint mark for signs of doubling. Look at the color to see if any bright red copper remains. And examine the wheat stalks for clear grain details. Because the difference between pocket change and big money might be hiding in those tiny details. And here's something that still amazes collectors today. Some of the most valuable wheat pennies ever discovered were found in ordinary bank coin rolls. People searching through rolls of pennies have uncovered coins worth hundreds and even thousands of dollars. That means hidden treasure is still out there. Right now, somewhere in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten coin collection, another rare 1957 wheat penny could be waiting. A coin that looks worn and ordinary, but secretly holds life-changing value. So before you spend your next penny, take a moment to check it carefully. Look for the 1957 date. Find the D-mint mark. Examine the color, the rim, and any unusual mint errors. Because the penny you almost ignored could actually be hidden treasure worth big money. And here's the mystery that keeps coin collectors searching every single day. How many rare 1957 wheat pennies are still hiding in circulation, waiting for someone like you to discover them? Check your coins tonight, because the next penny you pick up could change everything. And if you love discovering coins with big money and life-changing value, make sure you subscribe, because the next hidden treasure we reveal might be even more shocking than this one.